This upcoming fight card is as good of a fight card as it can be. I think, in my opinion, if it had a championship fight, it would have been a pay-per-view card. In the prelims, you have Clay Guida, you have Nisha Tate. It really smells like a pay-per-view. Now, I'm going to talk about 4 really interesting fights on the main card. Beginning with Kelvin Gastelum. He went down from the middleweight. He's going to be fighting now at welterweight. He was supposed to fight earlier a few months ago, Shavkat, but in training, he got injured. So he's back now, and he will be facing Sean Brady. Sean Brady, who has a 15-1 record. So just as a reminder, as far as Sean Brady, he had 15-0, and then he faced Belal Muhammad last, and that's where he got TKO'd in the second round. In my opinion, it was very disappointing to see that happen. To get KO'd by the meme decision machine of Belal Muhammad. So yeah, very disappointing, and I'm questioning his 15-0 score. Maybe the competition wasn't his goal. I think he had like a win over Michael Chiesa, which is obviously a great win. But the rest, I'm not too sure then. So having said so, if I were to bet my money, I will put it on Kelvin Gastelum. I think this is a great move by him to go to welterweight. I think now at middleweight, it's a little oversaturated for him. And his size, I think it's perfect at welterweight. It might have been actually a good thing in a bad way that he got injured against Shavkat. I guess Shavkat, I didn't see him winning, honestly. But he has a pretty good chance here versus Sean Brady. Now, of course, we'll see now how he recovered, how it all unfolds. But yes, if I were to bet money, I would put it on Kelvin Gastelum. So next fight, we have another guy that switched divisions. This time, it's the God of War, Deiveson Figueiredo. He's going up a weight class from flyweight to the bantamweight at 135. He will be fighting. So we remember him quite recently. He had those 4 terrific fights versus Brandon Moreno, where Brandon Moreno ended up taking the edge, and this is kind of like his way of departing from that division. He was supposed to fight Beneil Cape in the summer, in July. Unfortunately, that got canceled. I think that would have been a really good banger. Now, I like to see him also fight at bantamweight. I think he has a chance. Even though he's obviously a smaller frame, but he's got that speed and he's good as one is. I mean, he's very, very skillful. He'll be facing Rob Font. Rob Font is coming off a loss versus Corey Sandhagen, or Sandhagenmeadow as I would call him. He did break an arm, and in his defense, his only way of winning in that match, in that main event in Tennessee, was to wrestle. And he wrestled Rob Font, out-wrestled him for 5 rounds. Rob Font, to his defense, had a short notice. He took that on like a 7 days notice. He didn't prepare well. He definitely did not expect to wrestle Corey. And he lost that. And he showed his inability to wrestle at that kind of level. So will Deiveson Figueiredo able to take him down? Take this to his advantage? We'll see. The size difference is quite there. I mean, it's about 3 inches, 3 inches, I think, in height difference. I'm not sure about the reach. So, yeah, there's definitely a size and a power differential right here. Will Deiveson be able to overtake that, overcome that, and win with his skill and speed? Obviously, he will have the speed advantage. We'll see. If I were to put my money, I would not count Rob Font out. Not at all. I think Rob Font gets him. I think he's too powerful for him, and I think this will be a cold shower for Deiveson. I would put my money on Rob Font. Next fight, co-main event, will be... So Bobby Green was supposed to fight Dan Hooker. Unfortunately, Dan Hooker broke the same arm that he broke in the fight versus Jalin Turner, which was a complete banger. And as destiny unfolds, Jalin Turner will replace Dan Hooker and will be facing Bobby Green. So Bobby Green is as active as one fighter can be. I mean, he's one of the most active fighters on the roster. This is his 4th fight in the same calendar year. Last year, I think he had 3 fights, maybe even 4 as well. In the last 3 years, I've seen so many Bobby Green fights, countless and countless. He had some wins, he had some losses, but I think he's a really, really good gatekeeper. And at this stage of his career, he's basically that. He's taking good money fights, interesting fights. He's a very interesting fighter. Last fight he won versus Tony Ferguson. He even managed to submit Tony Ferguson. Quite impressive. So he has 2 wins in a row. He's facing now a new opponent, a much larger opponent, dangerous Jalin Turner, who has, believe it or not, 2 losses in a row. But can we really count Jalin Turner out? He had a really close fight. He lost the fight, as a reminder, with Dan Hooker. That was super close. And then he lost the fight to Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot also showed since then that he's championship material. So we can't really blame him much. Before that, he had a 5-fight win streak. Terrific role. He started initially, he's massive for the lightweight. His debut fight in the UFC as a welterweight, he lost to Vicente Luque. But ever since then, he came down to lightweight and had much more success. He's really massive. Having said so, also a reminder. If I were to predict this match, I would actually predict that Jalin Turner takes it. I think this is the end of the path for Bobby Green, if you were to ask me. However, the biggest challenge is he might miss weight. So this is a short notice fight. They already came to him once the first time around. He said no. And then they came back and he said yes. They probably offered him more money. But my question is, with the full camp versus Dan Hooker, he still missed weight. How is he going to make weight now on just 7 days notice? Or a little bit over 7 days? I'm not sure. So his biggest fight will be cutting weight, I think. That's the biggest fight for Jalin Turner, and how that's gonna affect his performance. But in a fight with Bobby Green at 155, I think Jalin takes this. I think he's going to be too powerful for Bobby Green. But we'll see. We'll see how that unfolds. That's the co-main. The main event will be Arman Tsarukyan versus Beneil Dariush. So Beneil Dariush was on a crazy win streak. I believe it was 8 wins in a row. Then he faced Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira unfortunately stopped that for Beneil. Beneil was so close. He was so close to getting a fight. Before that, he was supposed to fight, if you guys remember, it was just a couple of years ago, he was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev, before his title run and getting the win in the championship fight, he was the fight before his title fight was supposed to be versus Beneil. That fell apart, and Beneil lost ultimately. I still am very hopeful. I would still love to see Beneil Dariush versus Islam Makhachev down the line for the title. I would love to see that. But in order for that to happen, he first of all has to win this match. He has to win versus Arman Tsarukyan, who's an upcoming fighter, 27 young, Armenian-Russian fighter, who pretty much was terrific so far, even though, like I said, he's still young. Even if he doesn't win this match, he will still have a chance. He'll just have to wait a little bit more. The time is on his side. But will he beat Beneil Dariush? I don't think so. I think Beneil is that good. I think he had a bad night versus Charles Oliveira. And even if he didn't have a bad night, you lost to Charles Oliveira. Can you really blame him? He's one of the best to ever to do it. But I think he had a bad night. I think he has a pretty good chance, and I would love to see Beneil fight for the title down the line. If not for the next match, if he wins this, maybe another match, and then see him versus Islam. So Arman, obviously, if he wins this, that's his ticket to the top. Ironically, he did lose to Mateusz Gamrot, who Beneil beat as well. But MMA math doesn't work. We all know that. Doesn't work that way. They wouldn't even face each other if it did work. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Let me know in the comment section what you think. What are your predictions? And how excited are you for this fight card? I think it's really awesome. Like I said, if it had a championship fight, it would have been a pay-per-view. Easily. And also, fun fact, Khalil Rountree was supposed to fight on this card. His opponent dropped out, but instead he will be fighting a bigger name, Anthony Smith, just the upcoming weekend, the weekend after this weekend, after this fight night. And we'll talk about that more, but I think that's the end. I think that will be finally the end of Anthony Smith. I think Khalil takes it, but we'll talk about that more. Let me know about this fight card in the comment section. Give me a like for the algorithm, and subscribe to Octacage MMA. I'll see you in the next one.